Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of light and secret knowledge wherever you may be, you are listening to Points of Light Radio, the podcast dedicated to taking you past the apron and behind the closed doors of lodges everywhere. And here is your host, Stan Miller.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Shalom, assalamu alaikum, adnastana. I hope you've enjoyed this year, this 2024 segment, as we've taken our journey through, of light and knowledge. And we're going to be continuing that journey today by trying to answer some questions that many of those outside fraternalism and even some inside, let's be blunt, have. Namely, what types of offices or leadership positions, chairs, shall we call them, are available to those who join. I'm going to concentrate more on leadership positions, no disrespect to the lesser offices within our lodges, but the more leadership positions within our lodges. And I will point out here that every position that a person has in a lodge is important. But what are these leadership positions called? Have these positions evolved down through the years? Right? And why is it that some aspire to leadership positions in our lodges while others don't? And why, and is there an ideal time, shall we say, to seek out a leadership position? Should we maybe not be in too much of a hurry, push people forward, or rush, or even on a personal level to rush into positions, into some of these leadership positions? Let's discuss that. We are going to retrace our steps a little bit, and you're going to love the guests that I'm going to bring on during this segment as well. My old buddy will be showing up here, right? He needs no introduction here. But this is going to be fun, and it's going to be interesting. So let's move forward, shall we? But as I always ask you, are you still thirsty for knowledge? Are you still searching for the light? Then you just trim your lamp and follow me. So let's review what we've learned so far about some of the leadership positions. Going back to May 30th, 2022, we fellowshipped with Jamie James. He is a member of the Ancient Mystic Order of Samaritans and the past Supreme Monarchos for the Ancient Mystic Order of Samaritans USA. Let's see what he has to say. So, what exactly is the Supreme Monarchos?
The Supreme Monarchos for the Ancient Mystic Order of Samaritans is equal to like the Sovereign Grand Master. I was basically in charge of the whole United States and Canada.
Okay, so what exactly would you do in a role like that?
I visit other sanctoriums across the United States and Canada. I help institute new sanctoriums, recruit members. I run the Supreme meeting in August. And any kind of issues or questions or something like that comes up, whatever's needed.
On April 1st, 2023, we fellowshipped with Bruce Penny. He was the Grand Master of the Royal Black Institution in Canada. Okay, yeah. Now, what exactly does the Grand Master of the Royal Black Institution of Canada do?
Well, Stan, as a Grand Master of Canada, I guess I'm got to keep an eye on all things across Canada with the chapters and that. And it's my responsibility to make sure that things run smoothly. And if there's any problems, of course, myself and my committee have to get together and try and straighten these problems out. And right now we have, I think it's somewhere around 44 preceptories right across Canada, and 26 of those are in Newfoundland, of course, Newfoundland and Labrador.
On June 10th, 2023, we fellowshipped with Sean Zimmerman. He was the lecturing knight of the Oregon City Elks Lodge number 1189. Let's see what he has to say. And but you now you say you're the lecturing knight. Now,
Yes.
What role would a lecturing knight play in the Elks?
So the lecturing night, essentially the way that this works is you have a group of officers. So what we call are the chair officers, the four main officers that kind of guide the lodge. It's lodge leadership, if you will. Granted, we focus a lot on kind of the social aspects of the lodge. We oversee the youth activities, events, and that sort of thing. So essentially with those four chair officers, the lecturing knight actually is the first position. It's pretty much a 4-year commitment. You start off as lecturing knight, which is your first year. The second year is loyal knight. Third year is leading knight. And then the fourth year, you become exalted ruler, which is essentially the CEO, president, whatever, of the lodge.
Okay. And as a lecturing knight, you basically do some of the lecture work during the meetings?
Essentially, yes, because what I am supposed to do is give reports on the committees that I oversee, as well as the committees that I chair. So yes, in a sense, yes. Kind of now, more days, I feel like lecturing has just become kind of a figure of speech, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, that is kind of part of my portion. I mean, essentially the way that it works is that every chair has one of the 4 principles of the Elks. So you have charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity. So my chair as lecturing knight, I oversee brotherly love.
Okay.
The good fellowship, the sympathy, and the kindness of, interacting with others around you.
Okay, I see. Yeah, and you can. I think it's part of. I think you'll agree with me. It's part of the evolution of these different fraternal organizations that at one time it probably meant something very different. These positions or this degree work, for that matter, that you do, and it had meaning. It's there for a reason, right?
Yes, exactly.
And on March 1st, 2024, segment of Points of Light Radio, we featured Kevin Owens. Now, he's the Grand Commander of his International Order of Alhambra caravan in Ohio. Okay, and so, but there is offices and chairs within the Order of Alhambra. Now you say you're the Grand Commander. What are your roles as Grand Commander? But what would duties?
So we are a full-blown profit entity, the Alhambra, and so in that, there's monies that move, there's bank accounts, it's the whole drill. And so our caravan has its board of officers, and we have monthly meetings, we have meeting minutes, we have quarterly meetings of the board, of which I'm the Grand Commander, and those have minutes, and we file taxes and the whole drill. So in the local caravan, the makeup of officers known as the Divan is Grand Commander, which is a position I hold currently, Vice Grand Commander. So you can look at that like president and vice president in a regular terminology of a corporation. Then we have about 11 other positions. I could run them down, or
go ahead.
Just understand that we have a board. So we have a grand scribe. They keep notes. Scribe of the exchequer handles our money. Grand chamberlain, grand advocate. We have a chaplain, And currently, my group is associated with the Benedictine monks down at St. Andrew Abbey at the Benedictine High School in Cleveland. So we have a great relationship with them. Master of the Oasis, that is an individual that handles all of our drinks and beverages at our meetings. We also have an individual that handles all of our meals. So we have a meal every month at every meeting.
Beautiful.
Historiographer. Then we have a couple of others, a master of the wardrobe, captain of the bodyguard, sentinel of the desert, sentinel of the tower. So when we have regular meetings, we have people that handle the comings and goings at the door. If we have a ceremonial, the captain of the master of the wardrobe would handle that. So our fezzes, our tassels, all that stuff. So everybody has a role. And as a Grand Commander, the buck stops with me. But I'm lucky in our caravan to have members.
Sorry, you basically facilitate meetings as well. You're in charge.
Oh, yeah. I have a gavel, and we have a meeting, and I bang the gavel, meeting starts. Always starts with prayer, go through an agenda, keep recorded minutes of our business.
And you can work your way through the different positions and chairs within okay.
Yeah, simple volunteering to be nominated and accepting a nomination and then a vote.
Okay. And now, no discussion of fraternalism is complete here on Points of Light Radio if we don't get an opinion from my good buddy and brother, Owen Snowden. Here he's in multiple fraternal organizations, and he's here to discuss the roles he's played in every one of them, as well as some of the history behind it. So let's bring on my brother, my buddy, Owen Snowden.
Again on alcoholic drinking and stuff. So, yeah.
Well, but like now, where do you think that they got the origins of these different offices came from? Where do you think? Because I've heard people say it all traces back to Freemasonry and things like that. Do you think that they got their genesis, shall we say, or their ideas for how to form these offices from Freemasonry?
Very good. Whoever's made this suggestion to you, I think's made a good little perspective on that. But I don't believe that in that sense. I believe, yes, some offices have come from there, so like Tyler and stuff. But then you've also got to remember, there's always got to be someone in a level of authority within society. So I believe having offices is a good structural role and of keeping a hierarchy within and keeping law and order within these groups. Because to be honest, you're sitting in a room with a bunch of guys. What they're going to do, they're going to bicker. So to keep the bickering down to a T, you've got to have offices to basically. So like the deputy master can put the gavel down and go, right, end of conversation. That's the end of the debate. Now, if his word gets overruled, the master puts it down, and it's like you remember getting told that as a kid. Your mother would be very lenient with you, but then your father would be the one to put the gavel down at the end and say, "Yeah, end of conversation." And you respect the word of your father, well, obviously your mother, but you respect the word of your father a lot more. But within, I think it comes from that. But I also believe a lot of these offices, some of it's very pseudo military in the sense. So, like in the aspect of a lot of these collars of offices are seen as rank within the lodge. So Freemasonry is a beautiful example of that. There is a ladder of Freemasonry where you go through the collars of office till you become a worthy master, a master of the lodge. And I believe that structure is a brilliant thing, but I don't believe it's from Mason. I don't believe Freemasonry had its whole grip on it. I believe a lot of it come from society itself. Because a lot of these organizations have a lot of ex-servicemen, a lot of military personnel or members of it, of different various fraternities. But I believe these are strongly, they've taken inspiration from their career and from that way of tradition of there is structure, there's a hierarchy again. And, I believe it comes from stuff like that. Because it kind of makes sense. Sorry.
You're the worshipful master right now of your Orange Lodge, and you've been the primo of your Buffalo's Lodge.
Yes.
So, do you see any similarities in the way, shall we say, those two, the roles, shall we say, and responsibilities that way, though?
Yes, there's obviously the same. A lot of these organizations do copy one another, but some little differences here and there, mostly through name, mostly within authority. So like say the Orange Institute, you have a lot more authority over the lodge than in an REOB lodge, because an REOB lodge is rooted, in my eyes, in bureaucracy. There's too much. There's I believe 12 colours in the REOB. Within an Orange English Constitutional Lodge, the main colours of a lodge is the Master, the Deputy Master, Tyler, Chaplain, and that's it really. So there's not that level of having to keep your officers in line, basically, and know
like
that they're rolling.
RAOB changed their worthy primo every month, like you say, whereas the Orange Order, you're voted in once every year. They like to switch out every year. They don't always, but they like to switch out once every year.
Yes, that's correct. The REOB do. The Royal Anti-Diluvian Order Buffer do that. They do basically create. They change it every monthly due to, like I said before, to keep it from not being stuffy and boring and it just because sometimes sometimes people are made for a chair, some people aren't. But but I do like the idea within the Orange Institute, due to it being very ritualistic, that the master is kept in the chair for a year, because it's important for that year that he learns about the workings of the lodge, basically on a master level,
And the other thing is, I do find with the Orange, there's a lot more responsibility, shall we say, the overall running of the lodge itself, not just the meeting, but the lodge itself. They have more responsibility that way. And but the thing is, what you said to me as well. What degree do you have to be a worthy primo? Because I know in the Orange Institute, you have to at least be a purple arch to be the worshipful master. And actually, in Canadian lodges, there's a scarlet degree they like you to have as well.
Yeah, I'd love to know more about the scarlet degree, really, because in England we don't obviously have that degree. We have purple, orange.
On over, we'll get you through that. But but do you have to what degree do you have to be worthy primo? This, because you're saying everybody seems to take a turn, but like
to be a worthy primo. So when you join the REOB, you start off as a first degree. Once you become a first degree and got the basic gist of how a minor lodge operates, then if you're eager like myself, who is now a Knight of the Order of Merit, you're thinking, right, there's more to this than just sitting in a club and having a couple of drinks and raising some good old money for charity and all that, what. But if you're that eager, you start learning the rituals, the examining council board. You go in front of that, which is a whole different side body of that organization. Which, if you've learned all the open, closing, declaration, the rules of the runnings of the lodge, all that, and then you've passed examining council, you are then eligible to be raised to the second degree of a certified primo. Once you're raised to a second degree as a primo and you have obtained that great degree, you are then progressed into your minor lodge, but now you may hold office. You may govern over your lodge. On top of that, visit and become a provincial Grand Lodge officer and visit the province. The only thing you can't do at that current stage as a certified primo is attend the Roll of Honour assemblies or the Knights chapters. Everything else is open to you. Obviously, with those two organizations, you must be of those degrees, and then you gain access to them, and then once you're Roll of Honour, everything's open to you, basically.
But Freemasonry, you have to be a Master Mason to be
that's correct,
master.
yes.
So, yeah. Do you find they have a much greater responsibility as in Freemasonry?
I do, in the sense, and especially on the English Constitution and the UGLA, under the United Grand Lodge of England, yes, I do. Because unlike the REOB, which no disrespect to the REOB, it's one of my favorite groups personally. I do like they have a lot more responsibilities to like the festive boards, making sure every office is there, introducing to the guests, welcoming them, giving them the welcome, and all that what and all that stuff. But yeah, I do believe they have a lot more responsibility. I'm not giving nothing away, but like end of the day, yeah, that's all I can say on that really.
Have you ever held any offices in Odd Fellowship?
And the Oddfellows, I'm a chartered member of the Oddfellows. So unfortunately, because mine is based in New Zealand, I'm a chartered member of New Zealand, and I live in the United Kingdom, Great Britain, Northern Ireland, Overseas Territories. I would find it quite difficult to hold my office every year so that's more of just a give and take.
Okay.
I wish to come more
what
active
about
in
the
it.
preceptories? Now you are in the preceptories.
I am, yes. I hold deputy master of that organisation within the Knights of St. George 321, which used to be known as the Star of Heaven 321, but obviously changed its name. Don't know why. Can't remember. That's a little bit of history. I don't know. But yes, I hold deputy master, but I also hold provincial, well, not provincial, district ranking within that organisation. I am a district pursuant. Which is basically just a Tyler, a glorified Tyler in my eyes, but they are important roles, and I believe so. Within a lot of these organizations, as you move up the ranks and then move into more higher seniority bodies, I believe it gets a lot more stricter and a lot more harder for the role for the master, because the master then has the bigger responsibility of I'm now in a senior organization, which takes years to get in from the orange to the blacks. You can't just jump straight at the blacks. You've got to go through the years of the orange and then eventually join the blacks. And you've got that feeling of seniority, and you've got to be like, right, I can't just mess about here. This is important because a lot of people are looking up to us, and you want to show the best as you can. That's all you can.
So, like you say, you're on these provincial and county boards with them. Do you find, like I said, that the roles there are similar? Shall we say, like,
yes and no. So I think like on a district level, because you are running the district or provincial level and you're running the province, you can't just it's not like a minor lodge where you can just like sit there and go, all right, we'll have the debate, because these rules of debate and potentially changing of bylaws can affect not just your individual lodges, it would in a minor lodge, it affects the bigger scale of things, the province. So I think there is a time and a place to have fun and stuff. There's a time and place for seriousness, because this will affect your province. And let's say something happened to you, and then that rule will be there when you probably go. So you need to be very wary on how you approach things and have a very serious tone on that. Obviously, have a little lightheartedness, but you can't you got to be serious because it can affect others. That's yeah.
are your meeting now? Now you're also, like you say, on the RAOB. You're on your district or provincial. Are those meetings, like I know our sessions for Orange Sessions, we hold those meetings in the purple. So it's not like a normal Orange meeting that's held in the Orange degree. We hold those meetings in the purple. Are your district and provincial meetings all held in your highest degree?
So in the REOB, yes, every degree. So in the REOB, all 4 degrees in the Grand Lodge of England have a degree, have a sign and password. Can't give it to you because it's very secretive.
No, that's fine. No, I understand that.
I'm just playing, but the issue is the thing is though is every time you move up. So like a normal minor lodge, you use the 1st degree. 2nd degree is you only used at a provincial level. You never see it anywhere else. 3rd degree is only ever seen in Knights chapters. And the 4th degree is only ever seen in Roll of Honor assemblies. So yeah.
Preceptories. What are your grand sessions?
Sorry, not preceptories. Assemblies.
Yeah. Okay. So they're held as Yeah, interesting. It's very interesting. Yeah, and like I said, you do see some similarities with all of them, but you're with the roles of these different leader with these leadership roles. But what's the favorite one that you've ever held? Shall we say you're with being a favorite office you've ever held in any of these lodges or groups you belong to?
Oh well, it would obviously be the master of it because it's a very special, intimate moment for you to be. But it would be probably the orange, personally speaking, for me because it took me so long to obtain that great office.
Mhm.
But for me, also on top of that, due to a family, my grandfather being a member of the REOB, I would say the REOB, seeing my grandfather see his grandson going into the chairs as equivalent to a master, and seeing him smile, that's the nicest part of it. A lot of these fraternities, I love the aspect of when people's families are involved, because it brings some families closer together, some families it'll tear apart, but that's a different story. But some families it brings together and they bond a lot more. Like I always find it funny sitting in a lodge with my grandfather and having to call him brother, and he's like, I'm not such and such brother, I'm your granddad. It's just so funny to put it like that.
Exactly. And I think you'll agree with me as well. The amount of time each one of them takes as well. Like we just, my Orange Lodge, we recently changed worshipful masters. It was just a matter of everybody getting anybody being able to take the time to fill that role because, like you say, Orange takes a lot of time. I do think you would agree with me when you take any of these roles on, you have to be fair to it. I think you should only take it when you have time, right? Like,
Totally agree with you. Totally agree, and especially when you're ready. Don't
yeah,
rush into things. Like the worst thing you can do is copy me and rush into things. And jokes aside, but is don't rush in and thinking you've got to be master. You've got to get it done. You've got to get it done. Take your time, understand each office, learn, learn, and learn. And eventually, once you become master, it'll feel more special to you. It'll feel that you've accomplished this goal. But you've done it at the right stage, you've done it at the right time, and all that, because like you say, Stan, a lot of these roles take a lot of time to get to, especially if there's competition to be master and all that. But remember, slow and steady always wins the race, and you'll always get there at the end.
and I will say this: the ones that I've saw, and we've talked about this before. This particular, our worshipful master, the one we have now, he's worked his way through all of the chairs, so he kind of understands all of like everything, including from everything from the Tyler right through to like recording secretary, chaplain, financial secretary. Also, he understands all of those, and that's what I like. And there's something to be said for that, being able to understand everyone else's role in the lodge, be able to connect with that on a certain level. I think that's wonderful. Rushing through it can sometimes lead to someone who really doesn't understand what's going on.
I totally agree with what you're saying there. Yeah, they again say it's that I call them a jack of all trades. It's an important thing to be honest, because at the end of the day, you can then now bond with all their brethren in that lodge and get on their level on their office role and be like, "Well, I've done it in the past. This is how I've done it. This is how you should." I'm giving you suggestions, help here, and etc. It gives a vital tool to a lodge as well, because you find yourself, Stan, especially when a lodge struggles for secretaries and treasurers and all that, and you need one, and somebody's is qualified enough to do it, then
Mm.
as much as I don't like to do it, but you know that person's there in a dire emergency for the lodge.
Yeah, and I mean, I know now, like I said, in my lodge, particular lodge, I've taken the role of chaplain, and I really do enjoy that. I do think chaplain, on a personal level, I find being a chaplain, um, you do have it sounds like a minor role, but being able to do that scripture reading, like the way I like to do it, I like to think of a scripture beforehand that I'm going to read things like that. It's a very important. It's a very important role. Like like you say, your worshipful master or your grand primo, those things. I mean, as important as it is, we can't forget about the minor offices in that lodge. I think is wonderful. Yeah,
well, you can't have them all throughout the minor lodges because you've got no lodge to run then.
exactly. And but shifting gears here, have you written any new books lately? Tell us about.
Oh yes, I've got a couple in the works. So
All right,
I've got one about the it's called Buffaloism on the Tyne, and it'll be about the history of the REOB within basically the Tyneside area. Because there's quite a rich history up here with it. For example, there's let me have a quick think. So the two oldest lodges in Newcastle, Shakespeare 35. I've written a book on the Joey Grimaldi the Joey Grimaldi 150 and the Shakespeare 35. These are very old acting lodges. You know, these lodges come from actors when they were sick of seeing kids begging on the streets, and they were like, "Oh, this can't be going on in our time," you know, and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of people don't realise in Northumberland and most pubs, if it's over 100-year-old, probably had a lodge in at one point. I recently found out a pub my mother sometimes goes into, the Black and White Garter. They used to have an Oddfellow lodge in at one point, obviously going back 1876 or something silly like that. They actually had a Oddfellow lodge. See, the Northumberland is glorious in its history of fraternalism. You've had organisations such as Brake Gardeners, Foresters, Oddfellows, REOB, Freemasonry, of course. You've got all these organisations. You even had weird ones, which even I don't know much about, like the Free and Easy Long Johns.
Well,
Like, what was all that about?
One of my last ones, the Bucks that used to meet.
Honestly, the amount of these,
met in a pub.
the amount of these lodges which are met in the pubs, and then you had that's just the fraternal side. Then you've got the friendly society side. A lot of pubs had friendly societies. The recent one is the one I know of is the Swan Pub in Newcastle area. They had a friendly society called the Swan Friendly Society, which was basically just to create to look after the members. So obviously you want to keep your punters going as long as you can.
Yeah.
So what they would do is they would create these friendly societies, and because there was no National Health Service in this country at that time, no NHS, these friendly societies would appear to basically look after the members, bury the dead in it, and make sure the orphans and widows are looked after. So to basically keep your community going and to give you that community spirit. Sadly, in the United Kingdom of Great Britain, we've lost that side of the community spirit because of, yes, fraternities aren't really needed in the modern day, but they do bring that element of community, and I think it's very important.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping a lot of these books show is that community is important, and this is an important thing, and we should try to keep it going, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, Brother Snowden, as always, it's always a pleasure having you on here.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Thank you for your time today, and have yourself a great day.
You too. Pleasure.
And finally, brothers and sisters, let's visit our friend Ben Jackson. You may recall him from a previous segment of Points of Light Radio. He's the Vice Noble Grand Humbug of the South 1187 chapter E Clampus Vetus in Wyoming. So now what exactly does a Vice Grand Noble Humbug do in the Clampers, and where exactly did they get the name Humbug?
So the Humbug, the Vice Noble Grand Humbug is basically the vice president of the chapter. And the name Humbug is really just the Clampers as our nickname, is that's what we call ourselves. There's a lot of absurdum that we base ourselves in, and we do that so that we never take ourselves too seriously. As you and I have talked in the past, there's so many of these fraternal orders out there that they get caught up in the pomp and circumstance of what they do, and they take themselves way too seriously. And one of the founding principles of E Clampus Vitus is that we never take ourselves too seriously. And so humbuggery and that term is just something that that somewhere in our founding they pulled that term humbug out of the hat, so to speak, and chose that as the office of our president at the local chapter level. So, as far as the role and responsibilities of the vice humbug, each chapter is takes that to a little differently. I guess it's written up in their own bylaws. We don't necessarily have a very set strict of bylaws that's handed out to each chapter. Each chapter is self-governing. So our chapter is a little unique in that the vice humbug is the chairman of the dedication committee. So our excuse me, our main purpose is the preservation of sites of historical significance pertaining to the mother lode era, of mining and the gold rush era and the westward expansion of the United States. So we're constantly looking for sites of historical significance pertaining to that. And so in our chapter, what the Vice Noble Grand Humbug does is he is constantly looking for those sites within the state of Wyoming and reaching out to whether it be state agencies, county agencies, or federal agencies that are governing within the state, and seeking permission, seeking cooperation, and also doing research as to what is going on with these sites and how do we get that permission to be able to go in and dedicate these sites, put a plaque at this site, and then work out the logistics. Because we also
wasn't it great having Mr. Snowden back here? That was a lot. It's always fun, always fun. But there you have it. People representing different fraternal orders, right, across the board, from the more entertaining to the more, shall we say, serious and esoteric of our orders. So let's unpack what we've heard. Why do people hold fraternal offices within these lodges and fraternal orders? Reasons vary. Some people like to be in charge. They really do. But it sounds like, based on what Brother Snowden said, that they do try to keep some of that in check within the RAOB and give everybody a chance to lead. And as you heard him say, that has implications of its own. Under the same token, there are implications to having people hold leadership positions, especially of worshipful master, grand master, whatever it's called within your organization. There is implications to having someone hold an office for a year or more. There really is. I will say one thing: within some of the lodges I belong to, if you don't hold your elections on an annual basis, sometimes they do get pushed back. Business gets in the way, things like that. Sometimes meetings get canceled and so on. That can also have implications. It is important to give everybody that wants to lead at least an opportunity to be voted on. That's how I see it. But offices aren't for like fraternal offices, leadership positions in particular aren't necessarily for everyone, right? Right. But we do need to be willing to help and assist our office holders, as well as fill in when needed. Take that step up. We really do. I've had to do that recently, in this past year. And now, of course, I've taken on a more permanent role within my lodge. But never forget, right? We need to support them, but also never forget that we all play a role in our lodges. And I tried to reinforce this, even positions like Tyler, inner guard within some of our lodges, those what we call inner guard, chaplain's positions, recording secretary, of course, and financial secretary, and so on. Those roles are important, but even those of us who may or may not hold an office within our lodge, we all play a role within our lodges. And I'll close with that. Before I go, I want to remind you that this podcast is available on both YouTube and Spreaker. Please share, like, and subscribe when viewing Points of Light Radio on YouTube. I also welcome your comments and input. You can also see the link to the PayPal link in the details section of this podcast, where you can hit on that, make a voluntary donation to this podcast, and we will use that donation to help move Points of Light Radio forward. You can follow Points of Light Radio on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Points of Light Radio. My Twitter handle is @PO Light Radio. You can see the link to my Spotify channel, as well as my Points of Light Radio store. And I also would like to make an honorable mention to my friend Jason Zhang, who helped me set up a brand new computer here so I can carry the podcast forward a little bit here. I love the guy. He's soon to be also a brother in my lodge. Brothers and sisters, it has been a pleasure fellowshipping with you today, retracing our steps, and of course, talking to our old friend Owen Snowden. Until we meet again.